Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to your Libra March 2022 forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, for those who are stopping by for the first time. And welcome, if that's the case. We hope to see much more of you. Join our fanatical team of subscribers here who are part of my family. We are all one family here because our readings here, they're fun, they're different, good. And we have the opportunity to look at things that other people don't have, such as numerology, mysticism, astrology, and different things in the cards that we have. Now, the cards theme this month is Sub-Saharan Africa. And so many of the people depicted in it will be, I'm glad to say, people of color, because many of the people that I read for over Skype or iPhone, for clairvoyant readings, and you can see a link in the description if you're interested, because many Libra people have had readings from me. Many of my clients are ladies and gentlemen of color, and it's my delight to always see with them and to bond with them. And also, it's good to have this sort of a deck because it's something that we don't get to see, and I love the artwork on it. It took months and months and months to arrive at my place. It arrived by FedEx yesterday. I spent about 2 hours meditating over it, and so I can assure you it's going to be providing you with the very best that there is for you to have in this month of March. So let's get 5 cards. 5 is the number of change, and changes always come about. There is the 4 of coins. It's not a bad card to have at all. There is Papa Staff. What is here? There is the 2 of Staffs, as it's expressed to be. Or would you say staves? I'll use the developer's words of staffs. There is Young Gourd. Actually, this has got a lot of... well, you'll see it in just a second. It's got a lot of interesting sort of things going on in the card itself, from the way it's been put together. And you'll see that in just a second. And finally, let's pull something from down in here, shall we? Make sure that I'm not seeing anything until it turns over. And here it is, the 6 of Blades. That's a great card for you. Great air card for such a good air sign such as yourself. So now, why don't you come sit down here next to me? We'll have a good close look at the imagery on these cards together while I do your reading for you. Now, here we go. There you are. There's Libra just next to the first card that you drew. But I want to have a look at this one down here first up. It's just calling to me. It is the 6 of Blades. Let's have a look at it and see what it has to tell you, shall we? Let's see what there is here in connection with these other cards, because they all interplay with one another, as you know. Do you know, when I think of healing and reconciliation, I often think of the metaphor of picking up the broken pieces. But some pieces are just unsalvageable, and they are better left where they are, I think. Now here we see what carrying those sharp broken pieces can really do to you. With all the sharp chunks of blades you choose to carry, you simply end up hurting yourself. You bleed out and wonder why you no longer have the wherewithal to keep going. Now the 2 swords that remain whole, well, they are more than enough to remind you where you've come from and to protect you on your way to where you are going. Now, I think the 6 of Blades reminds you that the silver lining is near. Release those broken pieces. Lift your head and see things from a different perspective. You'll find much more peace and clarity in your situation. It may even be a literal sign of travel sometimes. Now, this is the time you face your reality. If you've been in a constant state of struggle, keep fighting and do what you can to reduce your mental load. Now, interestingly, though, this is really also all about earned success. Now, the reason why I say that is because the astrology of this card in this position is that of Mercury ruling the second decan of Aquarius, 30th of January to the 9th of February. Well, the air planet of Mercury finds itself in the fixed sign of air, which is Aquarius. Now, Mercury happens to be exalted in Aquarius, which highlights the intellectual qualities of this card. Now, Aquarius is an air sign. It's not a water sign, as a lot of people believe. It's an air sign. And it is detached and intellectual by nature. And Mercury's ability to analyze brings a clear perspective for you going forward. The astrology, I think, suggests a somewhat detached but balanced assessment of a situation or of a person is needed. You need to analyze something without bias and without too much emotion in order to get the best result. Now, Aquarius is also the sign of innovation and originality, you know, and so this can also mean that you are communicating ideas that are new, even unconventional, in what is a very orderly way. So there is an ability to analyze here, to unify ideas. You'll have an all-encompassing vision, an all-embracing understanding. You will also, I think, possess the ability to perceive on different levels and from different perspectives. Your understanding of things unites many different aspects. Maybe ask yourself this question: where are and what are the ruts in your life? Trust your insight at this time. Communicate in a way others will understand, and allow the rose within you to unfold. And say this to yourself: the rose of recognition blossoms in my heart. Now I might go to the diagonally opposite side of the spread to look at this Four of Coins. An interesting depiction as well. All the artwork in this deck is beautiful, I think. Something that you don't really very often see in tarot, do you? Now, in this image here, we see a young man standing guard in front of what I assume is an adobo village. The adobo villages were associated with people from southwest Mali and Burkina Faso in Africa. And anyway, he is standing there clutching in his a coin in his left hand, and there is one on top of his staff. Now in the back, another coin acts as a door to a granary, and the fourth as a door to his dwelling place. He is secure and continuously on alert, I suggest, to protect against any who would think to encroach upon the territory. I think this card represents for you security. You may have an opportunity to strengthen your foundation through increased assets. It is indicative really of someone with sound judgment, which is what you'll have at this time, and the ability to properly manage resources. Someone who is self-assured and aware of their personal power. It may be that you could be someone who is conservatively holding on to everything. Don't be a hoarder, though, or don't be stingy. It can also mean that you are maybe overly defensive and need to be more vulnerable. Now, the astrology of this particular energy here, or associated with it, is particularly fortunate for you. I actually call this the Lord of Earthly Power, because here we have the Sun in the third decan of Capricorn, the 13th to the 21st of January. Now, Capricorn, well, that's really a feet on the ground, eye on the prize sort of a sign, isn't it? And those with the Sun in Capricorn have a realistic, grounded approach to life that can be seen, however difficult or challenging the rest of their birth chart might be. But I think this speaks to you of strong foundations and stability, and as I say, a tight rein on the budget, being quite financially cautious, saving for the future and protecting yourself. You'll have a great degree of character here. Yes, I have to say that there is, for me, really the feeling that this is a very material card. There is definitely a need for you to set some sort of ground rules for dealing with people in your life. Your life is going to be orderly and secure, but it might seem sometimes to be barren and discontented, but this is all going to change in great amount here. The meaning of this card really depends on the background that you have. The card can be a chiding, I suppose, of the need to become more established in character or integrity, although I don't think that's necessarily you at all. Or it could be a challenge, really, to submit your rules and principles to life and the impulses of the heart. Is your life and your behavior rigid, like these things here? Or does your life and your behavior need more order, structure, and stability? Say this to yourself at this time. I offer my power in the service of love. Why don't we have a look at the central energy that's coming through here? And this is associated with this Two of Staffs. Interesting. Do you know, throughout the diaspora, that is the spreading around the world of African people, and those of African heritage, masquerades have been a source of much healing, reverence, and celebration of connection to earth, ancestors, and the higher deities who guide such people. Now, among the traditions is a thing called chakaba, the Zambian name for masquerade that's danced on stilts. Now, it's known by different names in different regions, such as Trinidad, in Guinea, or Nigeria, but the stilts symbolize the connection to spirit and the foresight to see what has come before you, as well as what people now face. They also symbolize maintaining balance and harmony in life. Now, stilt walkers operate as a sort of spiritual police unit in the community, and in some societies they are even considered to be healers. Now, just like the chakaba, you must learn to make decisions in a way that brings integration and balance into your life. The stilt walker stands on two wands, decorated with a snake motif. Snakes represent the infinite flow of energy that fuels transformation and rebirth, the cycle of life. And on each eye is a stone, like a lens, an optical lens that magnifies and brings clarity as it looks beyond the world it stands on. Now, in addition to that, we have here Mars in its own sign in the first decan, being the 21st to the 30th of March. So we have Mars in Aries, its own sign. And what this means is that you could, during this period, have a sort of a warlike energy about you. You'll be a dynamic pioneer in some respects. There's also the feeling of domination around here, mastering a situation. You'll be dominating a situation or possibly another person. It may be that you are not feeling satisfied with your lot, but you'll be focusing your intent. Now, the planet of Mars, the bearer of dynamic, active powers, is in his own sign of Aries, the pioneer who constantly seeks new ways and methods of advancement. Now, this drive forward finds new directions for you. There is power here, but it's one that rests on harmony and centeredness. Maybe a better word to use is command, in the sense of having command of yourself as well. This condition demands that your energies are collected and concentrated to provide the courage necessary to embark upon new paths. Now, whatever drastic changes may occur along the way, the pioneer in you will not be thrown off balance. Do you know, in some respect here, I see you becoming overcome by boldness, courage, a fierceness, even a shamelessness to some degree. You'll be generous and proud, but, and I'll tell it as it is, there is, I see here, a certain amount of revenge and a resolution to exact revenge that I see. In any event, I think this energy is suggesting that your will is beginning to rebel against its predisposed boundaries come hell or high water. You'll be using your willpower to break through stagnant situations and remove long-standing blocks. So now is definitely a time to act, but act on instinct and what feels right, without overthinking the situation. So pay attention to centering. If you're in contact with your center, you are certain to master the situation and trust your energy. Don't go for any false compromises. Which tasks and situations are a challenge for you? If you are in a challenging situation, sit down upright and comfortably. Breathe deeply into your abdomen. Wait until your breathing flows gently and calmly and you feel quite relaxed. Now visualize the situation at hand. See yourself dealing with it while remaining centered. And say to yourself, I find the strength I need now in my center. Now that takes us to where there's a couple of court cards. This guy is saying, look at me, look at me. See how this card is sort of melanated? You see how that stuff comes across? These are beautifully done, great printing work. Now, having a look at this person, I'm in two minds about this guy, I think. Now, this young god, well, he is the airy and intellectual aspect of water, passionate, sensual, artistic, and highly charming. But due to the steamy, foggy nature of air and water, because as the young man he's air and in gourds he's water, so you get steam coming up there. This is somebody whose empathic nature can lead to moodiness, to hypersensitivity, and to self-sacrifice. This could be someone that you know. The mind and emotions must come into harmony in order for the soul urge to be expressed effectively. Now, young god desires deep intimacy. There is the desire for deep intimacy. But first really must work towards self-mastery, fearlessly facing the depths of his emotions, which can be achieved really through artistic channeling, funnily enough, I think. This person here is, and I'll say person because court cards, of course, can refer to either gender. This person is really quite dynamic, which can also make for a volatile nature if put under too much pressure. So there is a tendency to remain subtle and mysterious, to guard the more intense aspect of the personality. Now, loyalty and love will keep them self-aware, but also contain them. A young god is crafty and highly perceptive, very good at reading people, which enables this person to find the advantage in any situation. This person can be easily influenced by others, so they must also be aware of the source of their ambition in order to avoid manipulation and toxic behavior while in the pursuit of their desires. But focusing this now on you, let me say this, that I think that you will, during this period, be actually very intellectual and full of ideas and plans, quite clever, but maybe a bit unstable at times. Now, be aware. Some people might think that you are domineering, or it's possible that you could be elusive. Now, you might find that you are impressionable to what other people have to say. There's lots of air here, lots of air. But getting back also to this, this other person here, I find that with the combination of air and water, there can be a volatility that's associated with it. You can either have calmness and like a mill pond, or you can have raging seas which have been whipped up by the air. Now, as fast as a river flows, so does this person, trying to get the most out of life as is possible. I'd get a feeling of Scorpio around here, and with him, the elements combine with Scorpio to make him really a very intense character. He is somebody, I think, who acts completely without conscience in the ordinary sense of the word. He's perfectly ruthless, and he cares intensely for power and his own aims, and doesn't feel any responsibility for anybody else. And if you're ever in any doubt about where you stand in relation to him, you stand behind him. He always is number one. This is also, though, around this energy, and particularly being diagonally opposite this. Diagonally opposite this card here, which is, well, it talks about a great degree of sexual attractiveness that you have to other people. This card here is, I think, also a highly sexualized card. Now, I'd say that you should just accept your sexual needs and passions and live them out with awareness, because you'll discover a lot in this process. Give yourself totally to the experience and observe yourself in it. And maybe ask yourself the question, what secret wishes are you unwilling to admit to? Well, spend some time each day visualizing yourself with your desires, but without getting lost in them. And say this to yourself: I now live out my sexual desires because this makes me more vital and fulfilled. Well, let's look finally at that other card that I mentioned earlier, being this, you've got there, young lady, being this Papa Staff. Well, hello, Papa Staff. You're an interesting looking guy. I think he is the primordial fire, raw power, versatile, yet volatile, the great creator and destroyer. Fire is pure energy, isn't it? The spark of the soul. It is essential to life. Fire is the energy of pure creative manifestation, and also the trigger for certain species of plants to germinate out there in the forests. And this is a great metaphor, I suppose, for sparks of inspiration, which you are going to have at this time. It is the will and passionate desire to be seen and heard that's going to overcome you at this time. Papa Staff will not go unnoticed and will set the room ablaze if he doesn't receive the respect he commands. You are going to have a very powerful first impression on people. Now, this energy is what makes Papa Staff such a powerful driving force. He is tireless in his pursuit and his desire to bring into reality what he sets his mind to. Now, the people who are going to be interesting to you at this period in connection with this are, I think, Sagittarius and Scorpio. Yeah, you'll find a great degree of activity going on with you at this moment, generosity. Maybe you might be impetuous from time to time. You'll be proud. You'll be very swift in your actions, and your actions are going to be seen as being unpredictable by other people, and there's going to be a great degree of fierceness with you as well. Now, you could also find that the environment around you might be going through some quite radical changes, but you should be cool, collected, resolute, and energetic. But be careful of the actions that you take. Don't do anything that hasn't been well thought out, but go forward with an alert confidence in your ability. This is a time to find your vitality, and as I say, other people are going to find you very physically attractive during this period, so do with that what you may. I'm sure you'll be able to manage it. Trust your gut instincts at the moment, and trust your intuition with respect to other people. Let your hair down. Give yourself a pep talk. Believe that you can do it. And be awake, ready for people or situations which could produce dynamic changes in your consciousness. And be grateful for this gift from existence. Receive it and don't cling to it. And does your present situation allow your energies to develop and unfold fully? And if not, what must be removed or changed? Seek out situations and opportunities that challenge you, and engage them with all of your energy. And remember this, and say it to yourself at this time: every challenge which arises helps me grow. Every storm strengthens my roots. That's the way it is for you. Did you like that? I certainly enjoyed providing it to you, and thank you very much for joining me for your March 2022 reading. Now, if you did enjoy it on the way out, please do me the favor of smashing the like button. It's good for the YouTube thing, the software algorithm that allows more people to see the readings. But in the meantime, I want you to remember one thing, though, and it is this: that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. Until then, it's bye for now.